Dimela, Sobona, Sakpase, Namaste, Upshin, Dubra Otra, Assalamu alaikum, Hotep, Buenas noches, bonsoir, good evening. What's going on, folks? This is Doriel Inez Larrier of Larrier's Education and Resource Network, where I plant seeds to help you grow. Welcome to another episode of The Digital Couch. This is season 2, episode 14. Episode 14. And the person that I have on the couch tonight, you have got to make sure you share with as many people as possible. And if you know me and you know where I went to college, you need to share it with them. If you know people who went to school in Connecticut, then that's fine. But if you know people who were on the ones and twos, if you know people who have been blessed by listening to music on the ones and twos, and not just the stuff that we necessarily hear in the church, but sometimes the stuff that we hear outside of the church, you definitely need to be on this couch tonight. Please make sure that you share. Please make sure that you bring your favorite mug and some notes, because you have got to take some notes, because the tea is going to be dropped tonight. The person that's on my couch tonight is none other than DJ Smoove with the VE.
Hello, everyone. How are you? Hi.
Welcome, DJ Smoove.
What's going on?
I love it
for having me.
I'm so thrilled. This conversation is, let's just say, a couple of decades overdue. Please make sure that you share this out. Those people who know my co-host, my partner right here. This is Scott. For this conversation, we will either say Scott or DJ Smoove with the
beat. All good.
It's all good. I love the fact that we're having this conversation tonight. And so let's just go back. So Scott, why don't you tell the story of how you actually know me, how we know each other? Because it'll come better from you.
Yeah, I used to be part of the U.S. Coast Guard. That was in my former life. I have a couple of lives right now. I'm on life number 3. But anyway, I went to school right next door to Connecticut College at the esteemed, Connecticut College is esteemed too, but the Coast Guard Academy. And, Doriel was over next door, which was right across the road. And
Route
of course,
32.
Exactly. Of course, we met because basically the Coast Guard Academy did not have many people of color, Black folks. We had in my entire class, the entire school at the time, I think we had like maybe 14 out of 1,000.
Yep.
That's how bad it was.
And we knew all of them.
Yes. And in my class, we only graduated 5 Black people. But the beauty of it was we became very close with all the ladies and the guys. Well, there wasn't many guys. There were hardly, and there's none. But, people of color over there at Con. And we became great friends, and we always partied together. And we, always did all types of funny things and fun things together because, we needed each other. I know I needed them. So I needed you guys. And so when we met, that's how we met and we connected. And those were lifelong connections that we all created, back in the day. So that's how we met.
That's how we met. And of course, there are hilarious stories of how we partied. We can't tell all the secrets.
Not all of them.
Not all of them. But let's just say that music was in the mix.
Oh, yeah.
It brought us together. It kept us together. It was definitely a different type of a vibe. I will say that the image that comes up when I think about how we celebrated, and this is very, very hard from the heart, how we celebrated where we came from, how we celebrated our culture, how we celebrated our and I would say a divine connection, is that image that, and I don't know who the artist is, but you might know, the image that is displayed on Good Times. That piece of art with I can't
think of the artist's name. Yeah, I can't think of his name.
Somebody look that up. Whoever that artist is who does those renditions of dim lights, but people just grooving and having a good time.
That's how it was.
That literally was the essence of how we celebrated, wherever we were. And so here it is, a couple of decades later. Look, I'm proud. 90, let me just let it know. 90.
Yes.
We look fabulous.
Yes, we do.
We look fabulous.
I am your classmate.
What?
I said, I am your classmate.
That's right.
Class of 90.
That's right. So, over the years, Scott has had a couple of different lives, and the life that he is living and loving and bringing laughter and smiles, and also bringing people within church walls that may not have been able to come into church walls is a topic of conversation tonight. So, Scott, why don't you start off with how did you move towards this journey? Oh, hold on. Shout out to the fact that Scott is a king. I'm a Brooklyn girl, right? Yeah. Scott is actually a king of Queens. Those people who are from New York, if you know, you know. If you know, you understand this. But Scott is a king of Queens. So tell us how you guys started and where you are today. Then we'll get into our questions for tonight.
Okay. I did 28 years, a great career in the Coast Guard. Crazy, great height that I, gained out there. When I was with the Coast Guard, I was a commander, which is a 05 scrambled eggs. So, that was a senior officer. And towards the end of my career, I would say like maybe about 5 or 6 years before I decided I retired, there was a lot of creativity that was inside of me that was just taking over. And of course, in my position in the military, it didn't work. So I was doing a lot of things after work in the community, working with kids, and I was creating music and creating mixes and things like that. So when I decided to retire, that was when I said, you know what, I'm going to do this full time. But I didn't just say I'm going to spin records full time. I did.
Wait. Excuse me.
Yes. That's one of my shirts right there. Yes.
In God, we
spin. Absolutely. And
can get this shirt too.
So when I got out of the military, I said that I am going to pursue this music thing full time. But I didn't do it traditionally. Like people would just say, oh, I just try to find gigs and things like that. I went back to school. I got a master's in journalism. I'm working on my music business degree right now. And one of my niches that I have is that I spin within the church and for churches consistently on radio stations and things like that. And so that's what I've been doing since 2012 and been taking it to a whole nother level. And in addition to spinning and having that great niche, I still serve the general public, but I also have a big part of my life which is devoted to working with kids. So I do a DJ skills and music production curriculum, after school curriculum, and I infuse a lot of social and emotional learning techniques in my curriculum. So I use this skill of DJing and music production to really enrich our kings and queens of tomorrow. And I'm pretty successful at that. I'm charismatic. I'm just going to put it out there. That's right. Charismatic.
Yes.
But I am trying to really make a difference for tomorrow and inspire these kids for tomorrow. I'll never know how big these kids are going to be because I'm just trying to light a fire or put that seed out there. And, it'll grow however it grows in the future. But that's kind of a little bit about how I gotten to today. But I know today we specifically talking about how I spin these tracks for church people and for the gospel, for the Lord and ministry.
Right. So
talk about this controversial thing because it is controversial.
So it is. So those people who are watching, and I'm so thankful that people are watching on a multiplicity of platforms. So please, again, reshare this because, he's spinning for God. He's spinning for God. I'm going to come up with these like quip phrases on the go because that's how creatives flow.
Yeah.
That's how creatives flow. I flow in my, lane. He flows in his lane. So I need for my stream team Stream team, take notice. If you hear something that resonates with your soul, if you hear something that pricks your ears, if you hear something that says, oh, child, that'll preach, I need you to type it in the comments, because Scott and I may or may not catch it. And we may not be like, oh, wow, that is a good one. Let me write that down. We need you to do that for us. Okay. So along this journey, and one, I have to say that one would not have thought. So I actually did not know how, let's say, close you were to God while we were coming up through school, because we didn't necessarily dance to like God music back then.
Right.
That wasn't evident. But over the years, of course, our lives take different turns and we shift and we pivot. How was that pivot for you when you were, let's say, sitting in the pew? In your head, you're hearing, feeling, moving to something, and you're just like, I got to do something. Like, when did that happen for you?
It's something that's been inside of me all along. Like one of the major things that I do is I create blends. And what is a blend? A blend is where you take, one song and then you take a different song. One's an instrumental, one may be the acapella, and you put them together and you make it sound like something different. So one is usually familiar. One is familiar with, a person is usually familiar with one of those two entities, and you put it together in a way. And the way that I do it is I put like a street anthem, mix it with a John P. Key or Kirk Franklin or just anyone. It doesn't matter. If it's a hot song on the gospel side, I'm going to blend it with a hot song on the street side. And I've always done that for some reason. Like, even when I think back, even before the technology would really help me do it quicker, I was doing these things in my head with the tapes and, stuff like that, and the records and the vinyl. And I would just try them and put like beats to just church anthems. In Christian music, there are anthems. If you put it on right now, a majority of people will start singing them. So to me, when I was sitting in the pews, I love sitting in the pews and hearing gospel music. But there's sometimes I need to hear a knock. You know what I mean? But I still want to hear Shirley Caesar spit her stuff. Right. I still want a little knock to it. And that's what I would do. And that's what I do now. I just add that into what's already beautiful and add a different element so it gets different legs. It creates a new emotion and a new connection to God, because now that slow song that you hearing that really gets your heart stirred up, you can now use that same gospel track while you taking a walk out in the park and get some exercise. And now it's like, oh, this is a whole new, but I know the words, I know the melody. So that's what happened. It just happened along the way, and now technology allows me to do it quicker and to get it out to more people.
So actually, I want to, I'm actually trying to connect some of your spin brothers.
Yeah, Frank. Yeah.
Right. So I'm tagging right now. And so
I couldn't spin when I was back at the academy. I couldn't, we couldn't really have all that equipment. We couldn't do it.
Right. You were limited to your bunker or your
to our room. Yeah.
Right. Yep. So you couldn't do it then, but in your heart, you were probably like in the middle of the night, like, I got to do this.
Yeah, exactly. But I still had my turntables like at home when I would go home. And even when I graduated, I still bought turntables and brought it with me as a professional officer. I always had turntables in my crib.
Now, this is interesting because so I'm hearing you now. To those of you who don't know, I've literally watched like Scott grow through this, but I think we maybe somehow, some way, right after we graduated to, I don't know, maybe like 15 years, almost maybe 20 years later, we probably had not been in contact with one another. And then, like, thank God for Facebook, we connected. And so approximately since maybe like 2011, 12 or 13, I found him, or we found each other. And then I've been watching him grow and grow in God. Of course, you already had your relationship before, but then marrying this work. Yeah. And there's another show that I do on this similar platform, and we use the term morphing ministry and mixing stuff that we hear on the corner to stuff that we hear in the center aisle, right?
Yeah.
Or in the center pew is such a beautiful, beautiful thing. And as soon as you said, Kirk Franklin or like Shirley Caesar, and you mentioned that, you wanted to hear Shirley Caesar, but you wanted to hear like a knock, I thought about how the fitness industry, right, has taken some of the work and maybe some of the contemporary work and then used it for like fitness exercise because of the beat, right? Because of the rhythm. And so, right. And so the blends, it's not like you're doing anything new, but
Nope.
whereas let's say Kirk, come on, give me some other names like Fred Hammond, Dietrich Haddon,
John P. Key, Mary, yeah, Anthony Brown,
right?
And then we got some of the people that we don't know, Lisa McClendon. So these are kind of like underground folks, and Jordan Armstrong. These are all underground, not underground, but they're not as known. But the fact that their melodies stick in our soul, in our mind, and to be able to hear something and to flip it into to be purposed somewhere else makes it powerful. It makes it so powerful. So imagine if you have something that connects outside of church to the majority. Let's just say that. I'm not even going to say street. Something, a song or a melody or whatever that connects to the majority. And then you bring in this song that has a great message, whatever that message is. It could be, to make it to tomorrow, to give your life to Christ, to not flip out on somebody. And you put that together. Think about the amount of numbers that's going to be drawn to that sound. You got the majority numbers added to the other numbers. Right. So that means that the whole audience is now something new. It's a new entity now. And that's what causes the problems.
So let's talk about some of these problems. So some of the problems that you have encountered when you walk into the door, or like how do you even pitch? How do you pitch a church that may or may not have this ministry or this aspect or this flow for their flock? Well, I'm gonna be on once a day. How do you get them to consider that this music should be added or could, draw in, right, like bait, some fish that needs to be in the net? Oh, I'm gonna be on one tonight. Drop these little gems and I'm dropping in the comments. Okay, how do you do that?
Wow, how do you do that? God does that. He really does that. Because people like me that do what I do, that spin gospel, the doors will fly open if we set out on the pavement to say, this is what I do. You'll get contacted by someone in radio. Obviously I have to talk. I talk to a lot of people, but when I look back, it's really hasn't been one person. It'll be like somebody heard, and then there's like a youth thing that'll happen. They'll invite me in for that. And then I'll come in and I'll spin for this youth event. But then the pastor's there. The pastor sees something. The pastor's progressive. Then he's like, yo, I'm doing this other thing outside. Can you be there? Then all of a sudden he'll have an idea. Yo, can you come and do praise and worship? And then next thing you know, I'm sitting in a church with 2 turntables, praise and worship, doing praise and worship before the pastor actually comes up and speak. And it's not just me. There's other DJs that I personally know that do it. And then this one is going to really throw you for a loop. So someone heard.
Right.
And then I was contacted to do a funeral. I did a funeral. Get the coffee cup up and take a big gulp. But yeah, I was contacted to do a funeral. And at first I was like, are you serious? But it was dead serious. If you think about a funeral.
No pun intended, Scott.
Dead serious. It was, yeah. No, that was intended. They wanted me to do a funeral. And if you really think about a funeral, I'm talking about a funeral for somebody that is saved. What do? We mourn, but we also praise, right? Now that's the two things, right? But the person who died was a DJ.
Oh, okay.
And he was saved.
Wait,
He
so
was
then that's
saved. He was a
understandable.
DJ. He was saved. He was a DJ. We know that we praise God when someone passes away,
right,
that loves the Lord, that is known to accept Christ as their personal savior. And we cried.
Wow.
And yo, let me tell you, it was a little scary at first. You know, I got my turntables up in the pulpit, and I looked down, and the body was there. They had the casket open and the whole nine. Woo! But yo, I was the music director for that service. And let me tell you, that was God putting me in position. Yo, I had done so many different things church-wise. So I understood everything that needed to be done. I had the tracks for when, you know, they brought in the body, out the body, while the pastor was, yo, I was ready.
Wait a minute. Can I ask a question? And this is all serious. I'm gonna stop smiling so much. I have to get serious. I'm sorry. What is the song? What's the song that you played? I'm sorry, Lord. What's the song that you played when the loved one entered the sanctuary?
You mean when the body entered the sanctuary? Okay. They had me play, I can't remember. That was like maybe 6 or 7 years ago. I can't remember. It was something specific. It was a specific gospel song that had, yeah, it was an interesting service.
I would almost want to like have that program like up on my wall. Like, I did that too.
Nah. It was just, like I said, I got a picture. I made sure that there was a picture taken. But I just want to say that people like me have a place.
Yes.
And the problem is that the minds, our minds sometimes limit what God is actually trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been my struggle, is coming up against that. I've been told to my face recently that people cannot get in the spirit by someone spinning turntables. They can't. And I just looked at them and I just was like, all right, okay. I mean, I've spent at a church that was very, I guess, Pentecostal, so they catch the Holy Spirit and they could run around and stuff like that. And I've spun there, and actually people were running around, and you know what I'm saying? Like, they was getting it in. So I know that when one person tells me like this limit as to where I can go and what this could take me and what God is doing, it'd be like 3 other doors that I'm actively walking through and doing stuff with. Yeah, it's sad. You know, it really is sad. But churches need people like me. They need people like me. I'm talking every single ministry and church need a DJ at their disposal. I'm here to tell you, I hope there's some, you know, ministry leaders looking and listening. And that was proven in this pandemic. It was proven. It was proven that we need DJs. And if you're going to get a DJ, don't you want a DJ that loves the Lord and respects people's spirit? Don't you want that?
There you go.
Don't when you go to these sporting events, you want a DJ that's playing the music at this sporting event that loves the Lord in charge of that? So they at least have some moral compass. At least we have a chance.
Shout out with the moral compass. And can I just acknowledge that even though you are no longer in New York, you repping with that hat.
Oh, yeah, all the time.
You repping with that hat. Yeah. So those of you who do not know, so again, I said that Scott was a king of Queens. That's because you was raised where?
In Harlem, but claim to fame is Far Rock.
Those of you who know Far Rockaway, that's the little peninsula.
The A train, last stop.
Actually, the Isthmus. That's the Isthmus. Mm-hmm. Right. Last stop on the A train.
Last stop on the A train. Mont Avenue, all the way to 207th Street. Dykeman. That's a 2-hour ride
from everywhere. From everywhere.
Yeah.
But now you were down in the FL, you in the Panhandle, right?
Yes,
What part?
down in Miami, Florida, down here. And
Where
these
the East Coast.
turntables have caused me to travel to Houston, Texas, all parts of Florida, Georgia. There's some other places I can't remember right now, but definitely been on the road with these things through the airports and all that doing this thing.
So let me just tell you, I think the funniest the funniest post that you do that I laugh every single time. And if people watch, if people are let's just say as aged as Scott and I would remember this sound bite is when you do your packing and unpacking. Because of the music that you play. You're doing it. So people, you got to follow.
Yeah, follow my Instagram stories. Those are popping.
Follow one DJ Smoove with the VE on Instagram. And if you scroll through, you'll see as he's packing and unpacking, which you've gotten down to a beautiful science. You
Benny Hill song.
Okay, let me get back in character. So I'm sorry, but the one thing I also want to talk to you about is what you just shared about sharing this information with young people. So I know that you spent a lot of time, and again, over the last, it's literally 10 years now, I've been following you. So you graciously sort of brought me out of, not really that I was in a comfort zone, but you said, hey, Darrell, I want you to do this, speak on this. And we've done a couple of collaborations, and I'm really, really appreciative of, as a creative, as an entrepreneur, as someone who, we are not afraid of public. We are not afraid of public spaces. We will speak any and which where there's a mic. If there is no mic, we'll speak loud enough so that people can hear us 20 rows back. We got that. But now you've taken this work and you've brought it to young people who matter, young people who need a voice. They need a megaphone.
Yeah.
They need an ear. And if the only way that they are looking for purpose, and some people are looking at it, of course, like through destructive ways, but also some people don't even see that music in this lane is not only encouraging, it's productive.
Yeah.
And you are showing that it is lucrative. How did you get into the schools? How did you get into the schools? Because I know this story, but I want the audience to hear.
I've been talking about, again, I go back to when God puts something in your heart. If you get out there, he will start opening up the door. So I have been talking to many people about, hey, I got this curriculum, which an idea. Curriculum sounds better than idea. So I got this curriculum where I use DJ skills and teaching DJ skills and music production, where I teach it to kids, but I also focus on their social and emotional learning and coping skills. So I kept talking that up. My wife talking that up. People hearing about it. They know I'm out there working. I'm actively working DJ and doing things on radio stations and stuff like that. And so it landed on a principal's ear. And I have been trying to solicit 2 different principals. Hey, I know you get grant funding and things like that. Bring me in.
Right.
But in 2021, it landed in the right ears. And, I'm at a school. I go there 3 hours a day.
Every day?
Yeah, 4 days a week. I do 2 days of DJ skills with the kids and 2 days of music production. So I teach them. I'm what you would call a new age music teacher. So I'm here to all you music teachers out there. You better get with it, because people like me is coming. We're going to take your jobs. I'm just trying to tell you, these kids don't learn music the old way. They need it in a different way. And that's the way I teach them. I teach them from a different angle. We still all getting to the same goal, but I just teach them from a different angle.
Yeah.
And it really it gets the introverts to experience life as an extrovert. It gets the extroverts to experience life as an introvert. It gets those that get anxiety for getting in front of other people. It gives them the experience in a very loving environment, because my classroom is loving, and it allows them to see things different than what they normally would, and learn skills on how to deal with all those feelings that they're going through. Just today I had a class today, and one of my students were in there crying. We worked through it. And by the end of the class, they was laughing. We didn't ignore what was going on with them, but we focused on it. But it was like, yo, let's work through it real quick. So
I love it.
That's how I'm in the school. That's really. It's just because, like I said, I had an idea, a curriculum, shared it, and guess what? somebody bought into it.
I love it. I love it. So we have a number of people who are on. I'm actually going to field a question or two, and add to some questions that I have. So so I came up with this idea. Now this is how, so Scott flows one way, I flow another way. As I was thinking about questions to pose tonight, I thought about dress code connected with hip hop culture. And it's not necessarily it's hip hop, but it is contemporary music. And what popped into my head was pumps or pumas in the pulpit.
Love it.
Somebody write that down. Somebody type that in the chat. Pumps or pumas in the pulpit. Can there be both? How is music offsetting our dress code? Now, before you answer that, why I came up with pumps or pumas in the pulpit is because at my church, shout out to my church in Brooklyn, y'all know where I go. One sister came in and, minister, reverend, doctor, all that, the letters behind the name. And she had on stilettos. And I was like, wow, that's deep. Okay. She got up there to preach. And right before she started speaking, she actually took her heels off. Now, from where I was sitting, I could see that she took them off. And the other minister that was on the pulpit at the moment was kind of like,
and would she take them off and put on what?
Nothing, because she was comfortable.
Gotcha.
The topic is she was comfortable. And so we were all, and of course, like people sitting straight across, we could see that she just dropped like 2.5 inches. So we were like, well, what happened? What, but she but then she explained later on, she said, listen, the way I get down, I'm not breaking no heel, nor am I breaking an ankle. And we were like, okay, that's a little different.
Yeah.
But then a couple of months later, I saw someone, and you probably actually know this person, a minister who is actually very, has a large audience, large community, was quote unquote preaching in sneakers. And I, again, I'm brought up in a traditional Baptist environment. And so there are times that we're still a little uffish. And so we were just like, can people actually like, quote unquote, bring Christ if you're, and then we're thinking, wait a minute, we have this whole contemporary gospel, flow and fever and fragrance. I'm on with the F's here, where it's not about what you wear per se, but it is about the word that you're delivering. Yeah. So there's a controversy in what you wear and what you listen to and how it needs to sound and look like one thing. And that's the only way that you're going to get people to Christ. How do you, in your work, how do you sort of stem the tide? Like, how do you shift things?
Well, I draw on my experiences in traveling the world in the military. I realized.
Where did you go? Because I don't know.
I've been as far as Australia, which that's down under. I've been to Germany. I've been to, the Pacific, like the American Samoa Islands. That's a little pea island if you look on the map. Hawaii, and then all the places in the United States. But I say all this because I realized that each region has like its own things that stir people up. I'm talking about church people too. All these different music sounds. And so I just realized that while in one area we think that you can't do one thing, it's actually happening in another area where you think that it would never happen. And it's the norm over there. So I've come to have an open mind with that. And I just try to keep portray that in all that I do. So sometimes, I used to ask, hey, do people wear do they wear hats in your church? I used to ask that like 8 years ago, but then I stopped asking. I just came to church with a hat on. Because you know why I came to church with a hat on was because it was like, this is like, if you're inviting me to minister, then that means that you need to accept what God is doing in me. And hopefully when you see that, and when I display what God is doing in me, maybe it might change what's going on in your mind as far as your box. Because when I see, now you see pastors with jeans and ripped jeans and Pumas and t-shirts preaching every Sunday. At first, I was even like, but then after a while, it was like, so what? Oh, the word. You focused on the word. So it's like, that's how I stem that tide, is keep an open mind myself, but also realize that I am an ambassador for change when people experience me. So I stay true to myself. I never forget that. And I try not to bend. And yes, I've been places where they say, are you going to wear that hat? Which was another way for them to say, can you take it off? And I would say, yeah, I'm going to wear that hat. And then I would just change the subject. Nobody has, no one has ever.
You're not talking about your fitted cap. You're talking about that
I wear fitted caps, the whole nine. I wore fedoras, what do they call it? Porcupines, big brims. I've done everything.
Nice hats.
Yeah, I've done everything. So it's like that's just I am a beacon for what God is doing in me. I can't change that. Like, there's no way I could do that. So that means if you see me out doing my thing for the world, in a world stage, I'm gonna look the same than in church. I'm not playing those games. I'm not like flipping when I come and do something in church. That's me. That's what God is doing in me. So why would I even change that? That don't even make sense. To me, that's being hypocritical if I change. If I come in church and I take my hat off, or I dress different and I try to dress like where I'm going, that's kind of foul.
Foul is the word. Foul is the word.
You know what I ask people? This is what I ask when I go into a place. Is this a formal event or not a formal event? That's what I ask them. And if they tell me it's semi-formal, I'm going to do semi-formal how I do semi-formal. Right. And I look spiffy, you know what I'm saying?
Wait, I was just about to say. So now I'm going to actually talk and have a New York conversation. If I did not know you because of stereotypes, I would have been like, Scott's a brother from around the way. And I'm going to say, ain't no way. Like I'm going to say, ain't no way this brother has the degree that he has, retired from the military, the government, serving this country. I said the government, like government cheese. The government, with the rank, with the stripes, all that stuff. And I remember you in your dress for graduation. I remember that. And I remember how proud because I don't think our graduation day was on the same day. So somehow, some way we saw you guys. Yeah. But we were so proud of the how many? 5
of us. Wow. Out of
a class of 1,000, 5 Black men. Were there any women in your class? There were no women.
No, there were no women in my class. Nah, that came like, there was some that went in, but they didn't make it all the way through. But yeah, there was, I would say the majority of the time that I was there for the 4 years at the academy, there was maybe two cadets, but no one graduated. No, there were white women, but not Black women. They're white women, definitely white women.
We talking about us here.
Yeah. Just want to make sure.
Right. But even still, so at that time there were only 2 female cadets out of the entire.
That I remember, but they only made it like maybe like 2 months that they were there. They quit after that. That was too much. I felt sorry for them. I really did.
I remember my 5 brothers, and I can name all of y'all right now. We won't shout them out, but I did tag them. But people would not know. People would not know. And so when you roll up and the hat, you dress in the 9s no matter what you do, whether you're in your Pumas, whether you're in your fitted or you dress in the 9 and you have your fedora, you have your vest, because I follow my brothers. And people would not know. And then if you have to quote unquote drop credentials, right, or drop letters, do you ever have to do that? Do you ever have to sort of prove yourself like that? Like, I have not only 1, 2 degrees, but I've actually served this. Like, do you have to do that?
I usually don't come out with that. I usually tell them to.
You don't lead with that.
Yeah, I don't lead with that. That's just my style. I usually, in some part of the conversation, I say, hey, check out my electronic press kit. That usually goes like, oh, and then I'll say, oh, it's djsmoove.net. That's my electronic press kit. Then when they go there, they start seeing the pictures and looking at the videos, and then they go like, oh, they look at my resume, that's all on there. They look at all my degrees. They go like, oh, I see you've done, I didn't know you were retired military. I didn't know you had this degree. Then that comes later. But I never lead with that. That's not my style. I've never been like that.
Of course not. And again, I'm so proud to, as I say, hashtag I roll with the best. This guy right here is part of a cadre of amazing young Black men who take music, take vinyls. Like, I remember the crates. And you carry a couple. You carry a couple.
I don't carry no crates, man.
No.
All digital.
Anything?
Nah.
When was the last
I only do that. I don't do that. The only time I do messing with vinyl is in the studio here. Like, messing with when I'm making music or I'm trying to teach the kids about how to sample and how to find things on vinyl. That's the only time. But as far as when I go out and perform, we try to be efficient, but the turntables do spin. I make sure no matter what the technology, I always have something that's spinning. That's mesmerizing to people.
That it is. So now, how are you connecting? Because we are going to try to stay on topic. Oh my goodness, the time! Oh my gosh, the time is like flying. I cannot believe this, but that's okay. We here. This is my show. If y'all want to scroll off, not a problem. Y'all can come back and catch the replay. That's all right. But I do want to make sure that I touch on this other conversation, and it's about holy hip hop. So it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
So how far do you think that this will go? Because some people initially, even let's say with a Kirk Franklin, or who's another person that's like him, that's back in that Mary. They thought, okay, like, ooh, y'all not bringing this in the church. Let's just wait this out. Let's just wait, because the evangelicals, are still gonna roll the tide. Like, there's still people who just like, sneaking it in. So how far do you think this is going to go? And because this is a subculture, I'm not even going to ask the question, are we making a subculture? This definitely is a subculture.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
How have we done with bridging the gap between our elders and our young people? In my mind, there's still a gap. There's still a big gap. But how do you think this is going to, let's say, become a part, if you will, a part of our church culture, like almost like a part of the order of service? Like, where do you see this?
Yeah, this is, I was asked this question before. This is my best answer. The way that we put it all together is we have to force it in certain aspects in the order of service first, and then it will gel. So, for example, let's just say if someone joins your church, or you know someone that is in the church right now, your body, that produces music, the ministry leaders should say, hey, can you make an intro song for our offering? That's how it starts. That's the first one.
Okay.
So here's another one. So we know that people come into the sanctuary, right? So get a DJ just to spend 8 minutes pre-service. Just a DJ. Don't put them up front at first. Put them in the back with the sound guy. Let them set up right there.
Okay.
People walk in, they may not see them, but they're still looking forward. That's not threatening. Then eventually you move them up to the front. Just put them up with the band. Don't put them aside. Put them right with the band.
Okay.
Put them turntables right next to the keyboard player and let them do pre-service. Just let them do it.
I love it.
Now, any of that, let's just say when you come down to like some parts of the service, like even the end of service, usually you may want something a little upbeat. Maybe the choir doesn't go out. Maybe the choir doesn't sing out or something like that. Right. Allow different and new things to come into service. There's plenty of places for music and different forms and styles of music to take place in every style and denomination. I guarantee you. You just have to force it. Just know that it has a place, and it will just take off.
There's definitely a great number of our elder ministers who are just like, nope, that stuff stops at the door. Or, as you said, that you are more welcomed outside, as if we were going to have a street ministry. But you, right. I know this is like grating, at your nerves. If we're going to have like an outdoor carnival or a church picnic, but to come into the building with all of that, and I'm just going to use a phrase that my former pastor would say, that boomty boomty boom, like that's not going to come up in here. There is a place, and I'm not saying directly, the turntable and, but if we're getting young people, and that's not to say that all young people vibe with that music, but some do. And those that we want to come in, if they do vibe to that, if that's going to be in their headphones or in their earbuds while they're sitting there, there's a place. There's a place. And I wanted you on the digital couch tonight in order to say, this is an educated, and I said educated, Black man who is, let me show the shirt again, who said, in God we spin, who is spinning for the Lord, and has gone from, let's say doing it for secular groups, and now doing it for saved and sanctified souls.
Yeah. And
you're weaving your way into the sanctuary. Yeah. And I think that's powerful.
All in the sanctuary. All in it.
Not just in the back door, but on the pulpit at a funeral.
At a funeral. Can you believe that?
I'm just I don't want to laugh again. And I'm not, let me just stay on the script. So, but the fact that it's for a person who was a DJ, that totally makes sense. Like in the back of my mind, I'm like, the only thing I can justify if it was a DJ, like, right. Okay.
Or a person that did music, that was really serious about music. So that's just what I'm just trying to say, is that this is useful in everyday Christian life at some point or another. Everything we listen to, a commercial or YouTube video, is preceded with something with music. Mm-hmm. How can we say that it's not? It has to be a part of the fabric of our worship, where we have people like me that are just involved some way, somehow.
So now I want to talk conference thinking or networking. Because we went to school together, there are two of your brothers who do this work and that you watched from afar, actually watched in the same room. And so those brothers still do that. And they are professionals. They got letters behind their name. They're known internationally, like both of them. And so you are as well. Do you find, or how do you find other spinners, other DJs who are Christian across? I'm sure you have some people who are in New York, because I actually have some people who are watching on a page and they are ministers and they're like, wow, like this is great. How can we be able to connect with, I'm sure there's some sort of a consortium, some sort of like a network of Christian DJs. Do you know them? Where are they in New York? Because I'm still in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Where are we gonna find some other people?
The best thing that I would tell you and is to start with the DJs that you know. There's a lot of DJs that people know. And then okay, so that's a big group. Then you start asking around and you just ask the DJs that currently spin that love the Lord. Maybe they're not doing it yet, but they love the Lord. That's when you challenge them. You say, hey, I know you DJ out there.
Right.
I know you love the Lord too. Can you put together something 10 minutes, blah, blah, blah?
I love it.
Watch how those wheels work. Watch how God start working in their life. Because Christian DJ does not mean that you just do Christian music all your life 24/7. It just means that you have a love for God, but this happens to be a skill that you have. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So you got to ask around, talk to the DJs that are already there, find out who loves the Lord, and then start talking and saying, this is what I'm looking for. And that's how it starts. And then if you really can't find them, give me a call and, maybe I might fly up. You know what I'm saying? I don't have no problem with traveling. No problem.
For a fee, and we will pay you to fly up.
Absolutely. I mean, of course, those logistic things got to be worked out. But, I just want to say that, I do travel, and then there's other DJs that do travel, to even just show people really what it could be in their sanctuary on a regular basis.
So I want to just touch on that for a moment. I don't even remember the last time I went roller skating, but I remember going roller skating at some point, not too long ago, and hearing Christian gospel music in the roller skating rink.
Yeah.
So it is everywhere.
Everywhere.
We also are hearing Christian, or let's just say contemporary gospel. And this is actually an old conversation, but I'm bringing it back because it's relevant to right here. We're also hearing, gospel music at the regular party, right? At the club.
Yeah.
Not that I'm going to clubs, but
I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
I've been told, but and it's kind of surprising to hear. But again, if it's like a Mary Mary, right? And I forgot what that signature song was that we would hear everywhere, but whatever that was. Thank you for the hearts. And why y'all laughing? I got people laughing, but y'all know what I'm talking about, right? But we're hearing the music. And so when you said ask DJs that you know, because of their community that they are serving, they know somehow, some way they need to plug in a little bit because they're trying to whet our appetite. They're trying to know, hey, like we say on the church stage, I ain't been saved all my life.
Right.
The opposite is true. I'm saved, but I haven't. Right. I haven't been saved all my life, but the opposite is true as well. It's like in this situation, you have one foot in the world, one foot out or in the church, and you're still saved.
Yeah.
Just because you have that one foot out in the world doesn't mean that you're running the streets like that.
Yeah.
But it means that you can connect with people who are outside of the church walls. And if wearing that fitted, and if wearing those Pumas or those Air Jordans or Air Force Ones or whatever wearing the jeans, please no rips. But anyway, wearing that and you're still bringing people in. I am amazed. I'm amazed, and I'm concerned about all of our elders who are still sitting like, and there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. But if we're talking about not having the church die out, if we're talking about bringing our young people in, not that you have to bring them in with this, but if that attracts some of the people that are unreachable right now, have a go. I don't say give it a shot. Have a go. Yes, you may do it at a a big community event, a street fair, a carnival, an outdoor service, which we had to accept and put as a part of our practice over the last year and a half, 2 years, those who were willing to do that. And so maybe, yes, you were welcome there. But just because some of us have walked into the doors doesn't mean that you get to be shut out. So how do we keep you in there? That's what I wanted to bring to the table tonight.
So can I respond to that? Okay. The way that we bridge the gap with those that are our elders is we spin those tracks. I will tell you, I was the beginning of a church, meaning the church had started. It was a new plant church, and we didn't have any musicians, but we had me.
Wow. Oh.
And guess what I used to do? And I wasn't up front. I purposely wasn't up front. I used to have 2 turntables in the back right next to the soundboard. And I used to spin we didn't have musicians. I spun all the tracks that they sang for praise and worship. And when the praise team was feeling it, I would run it back. And no one would know. I wouldn't be scratching it in, but I drop it on the one seamlessly. I did hymns. I had instrumental hymns as tracks, and I did it. And when the choir wanted to keep on singing, I looked at them. I was feeling it. Man, I ran it back just like your musician would. I'm a musician. I just have fingers that I use to manipulate things. So if you're looking, you can still, if you have a lot of elders in your church, have a service where the music is run from the back. Let the musicians take a break one Sunday. People can still sing to those tracks. They have instrumental hymn tracks that sound very traditional. That's how you incorporate it. But whoever's pushing the buttons in the back or the front or however you want it, it could be a DJ. It could be a person like me that's pushing those buttons.
I love it. I love it. So, and thank you for reminding me that you started, or your needs, no, you were fulfilling a need for a new church who did not have musicians.
Yeah, for about 5 years.
Oh my, for 5 years.
Every Sunday, yeah, 5 years every Sunday. 5 years, spending the whole service, the pre-service, during service, the pastor, what they call them, talking chords, when the pastor's there, end of his message, and he needs some chords in the background.
Right.
I play those tracks. I would go to musicians, get them to, keyboard players to play something, make it into a track. Right. I'd loop it for man, I had a whole arsenal to run, a service.
Your quiver was full. Those of you who are ministers, y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. Your quiver was full. You had, like you said, you had your arsenal. I got a track for that. Oh, somebody dropped that in the comments. Scott had a track for that.
I had a track for us. Still, hey. And when we out there doing like something in the street, and the pastor be like, hey, I want to say a few words. And I ask him, hey, do you want a backing track at some point when you talk? He'd be like, yeah. I'll be ready. Dropping it. All of a sudden, what he say to the crowd is impactful because of what? Music.
And you go,
No, I don't go that. Yeah, I mean, I got those type stuff, but typically it might be just nice chords for them to speak over whatever it is that they're trying to talk to people about.
I can totally envision that. That here it is. You, where are the musicians? Where's the band? Them turntables right there. Who's orchestrating, the processional and the recessional and the offering call and the, the sermonic hymn, them turntables right there.
Yep. Don't always have to be a knock. It don't always have to be something that's knocking.
Good. Oh, I love it. I love it. So I want to thank all of the people who have been watching, especially our ministry friends. So there are some people who are like, oh, great idea. I'm going to run with it. That's right. Oh, 5th Sunday. Okay. 5th Sunday. We're going to, somebody's going to be calling me. I need a DJ.
Somebody please call me. I'm ready to fly back to New York right now. Come on. I'm telling you, these turntables travel.
Oh my gosh.
Wheels up. Nah, but I really love the Lord, and I really try to just share that through the way that I spin. I really, really have a deep, deep relationship with God, and I really try to let that be felt and how I spin. Not only, gospel music, but, regular music, Like they invited me, I'm gonna be spinning at a jazz festival,
I
and
love
this
it.
this this Saturday, I'm gonna be spinning at a jazz festival. You think I'm gonna try to I want them to feel something spiritual when they hear my set. I don't want them to just listen. I want them to be like, wow, that took me on a journey. I don't know why I feel good. You know, I know, I try to just bring the goodness into whatever I do.
And I
That only
think,
comes from God.
and I know that's what musicians do. That's what creatives do. And that's what DJs do. Because I'll listen to, and again, I are two brothers who do this. And there are times that we can just sit. We don't even have to be dancing. We're just sitting and we're listening. And all of a sudden it's like flashback.
Yep.
Oh, wow. You doing an 80s set. Oh man, you're doing like a 70s set. Wow. Wait, you doing oh my goodness. Like, oh, you're mixing, let's say, okay, there's always like a Latin, let's say a Latin flavor that comes in right during the evening. Then there's, because we had a lot of Caribbean brothers and sisters, there'll be that Caribbean set for, again, we went to school in the late 80s. So whatever was popping,
House music.
right? Then there's a house music set.
Yep.
And now those people who go through the journey and they look at their audience and they look at their target market. This is marketing, right? They look at their target market. They know who their ideal client is. And they're like, okay, so these are like some like 40 plus. Okay, I need to go back to the 80s, right? Or I need to go back to what was hot. What do they remember? Where are they from? People who are from DC, right? Because one of your brothers was from the DC, the DMV area. And so I remember you guys talking about go-go. And I was like, I don't know what that is. But then we heard it and we were like, sounds interesting. Okay, we can roll with this. But it's so amazing how you tell a story about time, about space, about feeling, about community through sound, through rhythm, through, what did you say, like knocks. It's a beautiful, beautiful art form. And I'm glad that you all are finding your place. Here's my line, in the digital space, in order to bring that music to life, and in order to bring what more souls to Christ. Oh, let's end on that. No,
that's right.
So
Amen.
Hallelujah. So how in addition to you doing these classes for a school, you are spinning, and I don't know, where were you yesterday? Because we were supposed to talk yesterday. What were you doing till like 1 o'clock? Where were
yesterday?
You
oh, so there's a band that I am a part of. I actually spin with a band.
Wow.
And so they had an event last night called R&B Sundays. They're trying to create like a nice vibe on an early evening Sunday. So I was spinning with the band. So I had to spin in between the sets of the band, and sometimes during some of the scratches that they need some different percussion sounds that they need during the performance. So that's what I was doing last night. That's why I couldn't do what the connecting because I was busy.
You were working.
Yeah, I'm working. I'm definitely busy. Definitely.
I'm so proud. I'm honored. I am pleased as punch that you would come and have a seat on my digital couch tonight. And last question. DJ Nice. We had this conversation during Rona. He has leveled up the art of DJing. He has opened doors for other DJs.
Woo! He leveled it. It was the best thing to happen to us.
Right. And so I think now, of course, it was evident before, but for like an outside set. So in my head, I'm thinking, even though you're in Florida, where can we catch you that you have like a regular, because I know you did radio, that you have a regular spot that we can tune in, because I know you're on all the podcast, Spotify, whatever they call it. Where can we find you? I know if we go to DJSmoove.net.
Yeah.
But if I'm in New York, quickly, where can I get you?
I always say go to the website.
Okay.
That will direct you to whatever you like to connect with people with. So it'll allow you to go to Facebook if you're a Facebook person, if you're an Instagram person, if you're a Twitter person. It'll allow you to connect via those vehicles. I have a podcast every week. I stream every so often. My Instagram story is straight comedy.
Oh my
That's the
gosh.
life of a DJ. Matter of fact, go to my Instagram today. The story from last night at that event was funny. If you haven't seen it, it's gonna make you laugh. Especially if you're from Jamaica, you're gonna know why it's funny. Because I don't understand patois, but it was just a funny incident. But anyway, that's how you can find me on a regular basis, and you will be entertained. I guarantee you.
Okay.
Guarantee you.
Wait. Because now you're gonna make me want to go find it.
Yo, it's a story. My Insta story is actually a story. Every day it's a story in my life of a DJ life.
It is.
That loves the Lord. It's funny. It's hilarious.
So wait, are we talking about this?
No, you got more. That's just the beginning of the day.
All right. We'll find it. But please, y'all, please go find DJ Smoove, DJ SMOOV as in victory, .net. You will find him on the IG. He lives on IG. For my comedic relief, I go and tap into what he's doing. If you want a shirt, I mean, this is just perfect. Look, in God we spin. Like, who doesn't love that? I think it's fabulous. And there's other things, great things. And of course, if you want to support his efforts, he's going into schools. So there are some other people, again, like in the New York area, because we just got it like that there are similar people who are doing, let's call it new wave, or what did you say, like new age music teachers?
Yeah. We're going to take over that traditional, that arena. We still, you music producers and DJs out there, you still need the degree, daggone it. You gotta get that paper on the wall. But that mindset, if you educate it, you can get in the school systems and really make a difference and change lives on a molecular level.
We need we need this. I'm sorry. We need as many people as possible in order to help us out. So I thank you so much, Scott. I love you dearly. I consider you my classmate, even though you were on the other side of Route 32. But we are the class of, and we can say it because we're proud, 1990. Okay? 90s, baby. We came out. We got out. We walked off. Bless you. If anybody, again, is interested in just even chatting with him about whatever it is that has to do with gospel music, DJing, etc., make sure that you just go to djsmoove.net. If you type in the comments, he will be able to see it and he can respond directly. But give him a shout out. Let your pastor know if they want to entertain the entertainer, to entertain the souls that need to be entertained.
Yeah.
And Jesus too. Sky is your guy. Sky is your guy. I love you, brother. I love you dearly.
Love you too, man.
Peace and blessings. This is a Learn to Grow You moment where I plant seeds to help you grow. And this has been another episode of The Digital Couch where I chat with inspirational people, inspirational leaders who inspire, of course, interact, instruct, and influence people to live their lives better than they did yesterday. I will see you all next week. Next week, we will be here again, same time, and it is going to be Earth Day. It's going to be Earth Day. We're celebrating Earth Day next week. Watch and wait who I have on the couch next week. Good night, everyone.